Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast, way out there in the Pacific, Hawaii. Russ is coming in from Hawaii this morning. It's like 6 or 7 a.m. Maybe some of you are coming in from America Samoa, Northern Mariana Islands out there in the middle of the Pacific. Good morning to all of you. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm looking forward to working hard today, continuing with this training, and then going for a walk by the water. Should be a good day. I'm excited to see a lot of people already engaging in the chat. That's what makes this training so awesome is that, I deliver my tips for success. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but you're able to engage with each other in the chat and build connections. And that's a huge thing. I really like seeing that happen. So keep doing that. If you've been here a long time, make sure you're super welcoming to the newer people. If you're newer, just make sure you say hello. Certainly tell us your company name and core competency. We want to learn about you. But for me, as an example, you probably have to tell me 10, 20, 30 times, hey, this is John from John's Inc., and we do this because there's so many people, but I want to know. And so if you keep coming back and keep telling us, I will begin to remember and know. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate the kind words in chat. I'm going to go back after the training and I'll look at all that and celebrate it and get back to you. I wanted to start off before we get on to the training with just a quick tip for success as a thank you for those of you showing up early and on time. My tip for you is that when you send out emails, federal buyers or to industry partners, etc., make sure your email only has one ask. We're a social media society. We look at LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and we scroll through. And if somebody puts too big of a chunk of text, we don't really read it because it's too much. But if it's a little bit, we see it. And if you ask people two things in an email, they will always choose the thing you don't want them to choose, right? Or more importantly, they'll always miss the one you really want them to choose. So if I want a meeting and I say, hey, could you send me this document and could we schedule a meeting? They're like, here you go. I'm like, wait, I wanted the meeting. So only ask one thing at a time in an email. It's a really helpful tip for marketing and engaging with people as you're continuing to build your relationship with them. But I do this all the time. I do this on a regular basis every single week where I'm scheduling meetings, working with my customers to teach them the process. I'll do the process with them and schedule meetings. And I've really refined this down to people will get back and say yes or no. I'm totally cool with no. That's the dirt in a gold mine, right? And the gold is yes. But I need to just ask them one thing so they will tell me yes or no. Anyways, that's a quick tip for those of you showing up early and on time. I really appreciate that you do. Let me find my slides and get rocking and rolling. In today's training, we're going to be talking about the best capability statement example small business government contractors can follow, especially as we're thinking about FY 2025 here in October 7th, 2024. So this is based on years of my own experience and talking with hundreds and hundreds of federal buyers in different roles over the last 7 years. Capability statements, if you haven't heard me say this before, are one of the 6 marketing assets that small businesses should have for yourself, right? And it's the second most important one following DSBS or the Dynamic Small Business Search Tool. You can learn a lot more about that from many, many, many trainings I've done on DSBS. It's very important to me, so I train on that constantly. But today we're going to be talking about capability statements, in particular, capability statement examples that are out there. And I wanted to motivate you through today's training to refresh your company's capability statement for FY 2025, right? For those of you who maybe aren't familiar, the government's fiscal year, their year has ended September 30th, and now we're at the beginning of the new year. We call this fiscal year 2025. And this runs from October 1st to September 30th, 2025. And so I'm suggesting that you refresh your capability statement and get it out there. I think refreshing your capability statement is also a great way to knock on doors of people you've known before but maybe haven't followed, or knock on new doors. Hey, I've got an updated 2025 capability statement. Just want to put it out your way. Could we have a meeting? Ironically, by the way, that is a little bit of two things, but you get my point. It's a great way to be able to kind of reach out to people. I'm going to break today's training down into 4 topics related to these best capability statement example that I think can land you meetings over and over again, because that's kind of the purpose of a capability statement. So first thing I want to do is just remind you and remind me and us, right? What is a capability statement? What's its purpose? What should we be paying attention to? The second thing is what should be in our capability statement? There's certain information. It doesn't need to contain everything. So I want to tell you exactly what it should contain in order to land your meetings. The third thing I want to talk about, and I want to walk you through, is a template or framework for the what I consider the best capability statement example out there. Right? It's one that I have refined from from federal buyers guidance over 7 years. I've just watched it. I don't take one person's advice or one agency's. You got to understand, we really have one capability statement spread across many agencies, even though they say we're supposed to, update it for each capability or each agency, et cetera. It's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Anybody who's ever been in a small business knows it's hard enough to get one capability statement out of the door. If you want me to update it every single time, now you're asking a lot. And by the way, this capability statement that I'm talking about is your general capability statement. It is not what the government calls a capability statement when they say respond to an RFI. That's different. That's what you might think of capabilities statement, where there's more in there and you're writing multiple pages. And then the last thing is I want to show you, I'll tell you about the framework, and I'm going to show you a company's capability statement that I love. And I love it because it is so simple and it lands meetings over and over again with that framework. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I am co-founder of GovCon in a Box, and I am super happy to have you join me today in my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're gonna have repeatable, predictable results. And that's what I want for you. That's why I come back over and over again. I've done well over 500 trainings in a row, with a couple of days off here and there, but pretty much over the last 2-3 years now as we've been going forward. And so a ton of training around federal sales. Make sure you watch the replays. You can find them actually in the newsletter. So subscribe to the Government Contracting Success newsletter. This is our newsletter where we put out information that's relevant to helping you sell one way or another, learning about an agency, knowing where to register, getting sales tips, etc. And so join our newsletter, and we put out articles several times a week. I try to be consistent, but the most important thing about consistency is I just get content out for you. And the last thing on this page, I just wanted to remind you, we had over 250 people, I think, register for today's training. We've got 170 plus people live today, because that's only LinkedIn I'm seeing, so I don't see YouTube, Twitter, et cetera. But tomorrow's training, easiest government contracts to win. Go register for the training. Make sure you let me know that you're coming, and LinkedIn will then let other people know about it. This is how we build our community and our network together. I'll provide the training and facilitate the location. You bring yourself and a friend, right? And by the way, if you registered for today's training, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you doing that. It motivates me tremendously, right? When I see a lot of people interested in the training I provide, I do this for free. And so it's pretty exciting to see you're excited to join as well. By the way, if you're in the 100 Club, put that in the chat. Say, I'm in the 100 Club, or just put 100. Actually, put I'm in the 100 Club. I like that. I want to welcome I think 9 or 10 newest members of the 100 Club. If you don't know what this is, we built GovCon in a Box, and you can see the URL here, govconinabox.com. To be able to, one of the things is to be able to give you a free tool that will help you with your federal visibility score. How visible are you to buyers? And this is a score 1 to 100. And so these 75 companies have gone through this, and it started with Graham and Glenn early on, and it just is wrapping up with these 7 or 9 on the side. So OTS with Brent, Hardpoint Consulting, me some, Julian from Sweet, I hope I said that correctly. Christian, I don't know how to say the acronym, so you got to help me. It's like NAVWAR, NAVSUB. How do I say it? But CIYIS, right? Somebody come tell me, and we'll give you another shout out just so I get the name right. And then QGI, Sabrina, and GGS with Tim Riley there. InfoQuest, Paresh, good to see you in here doing Adobe related stuff. And then Cyber Strategy Consultants. I think they might actually go CSC. But Will, these guys did what it took to get up to the 100 points. I give you guidance every step of the way on how to update your federal visibility score for free, right? You do it all on your own. We just provide the guidance. You don't need my help doing it. So go to govconinabox.com. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to go pretty fast. If you haven't figured this out already, I talk at a fire hose pace. But I want to begin with what is a capability statement. So I say every marketing asset that you have, and there's 6 for small businesses in the government contracting space, every marketing asset should have a purpose. What is the purpose? Only knowing the purpose will you know whether this tool is working for you. So the purpose of a capability statement is not to inform somebody all about your company, right? It's not to teach them and educate them. It's to land a meeting. That's its job. And so if I give somebody a capability statement, I want them to say, yes, I will meet with you, or no, I won't meet with you. And the alternate third one is not me, but Sally will meet with you, right? So yes, no, or Sally. And that's what you want the capability statement to do. You don't want it to do anything else. You don't want them to learn all about cybersecurity from your capability statement. That's a whole different thing. That's what your website's for. So I say that you want to get to know fast. This is really important. When you're newer to sales, sometimes you're afraid of no, but you should really embrace no, because in sales, you generally are looking for 84 no's and 16 yeses out of every 100 people you talk to. Unfortunately, a lot of us call 16 people. We're like, oh, we're not getting the yeses. It's like, that's not how it works. You have to call 100 people to be able to get those 84 no's out of the way, and then you get 16 yeses. I did this just last week when I was training one of our team on supporting a customer, and they were reaching out to 400 people, right? When I talk about doing this, I do this on a regular basis. So last week, we had 400 people in our target list, and they reached out to them. And there was this pattern that we have that we use with our workshop customers, et cetera. And in there, we reached out and we got a fair amount of no's, but we got 15 yeses. And these are huge. This is a big deal. Actually, there was 15 yeses with large firms. It was a unique thing we were trying to do. And that's really important. We kind of ignore the no's. We just update the no's. Many of those no's, by the way, we will turn around into yeses later because they're like, no, we don't do what you do. It's like, well, you don't understand what we do, right? We'll come back to that. But when you sit there and use a capability statement, they were able to quickly say no and quickly say yes to us. It didn't take them long at all, which was a lot of fun for us, right? Last thing is sometimes people call it a resume, a company resume. I don't knock that idea. I just don't agree with that idea because a resume, to me, it tends to be where we're trying to put a lot of stuff in there. Really, you want to think of it more like an advanced business card or even a written elevator pitch, if you will. But an advanced business cards have this. And you'll see in a minute, capability statements have this. So the last thing I want to just say before I move on is when you have your capability statement refreshed for 2025, remember where it belongs. I put 4 suggestions for you, the 4 most important ones in the order of importance. And what you'll notice if you're looking at my screen is that it is not as important to put your capability statement on your website as it is to put it in a DSBS, the Dynamic Small Business Search. So DSBS, it's the #1 market research tool used by federal buyers. Inside there is a link, and in there, the link, you can put your capability statement. And so that's part of the scoring, that visibility score we use. Do you have your capability statement in there? Is it leading back to your website? Ironically, when I was preparing for this training, I saw a company who they got points from me for putting a link back to the website, but I noticed they didn't have a PDF. And so I'm going to go make our score harder to get to 100. I'm going to say you must have a link to a PDF on your website so somebody can go there, look at it, download it, and move on, right? So DSBS is where it should live first. Second place is obviously on your website. Third place is your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you put it there and tell me you did it. Tag me that you did it and tag everybody, or tell the world, but tag me so I can engage my 34,000 connections, right? But put it on your profile and then encourage your colleagues. You don't have to make them do it, but tell them how to do it and they might do it. And that's a great way to spread the visibility. And the last thing is the company page for LinkedIn. All right, so there's 5 core pieces of information or sections that I have for a capability statement. There's basic information, and I'll show you an example in 2 slides, but there's basic information, and this sits at the top of your capability statement. Generally, it's your logo and your company name, depending on whether they can be one thing or go together or separate things. It's your UEI and your cage code, and it's your tags. So you might have a 8A or veteran-owned, service-disabled veteran-owned, woman-owned, et cetera. We're taught not to lead with our tags, and I 100% agree with that. Don't go in and say, hey, I'm a woman-owned small business, give me a contract, right? Instead, say, this is the capabilities we provide to solve your need. But on your capability statement, you do want that up on top. So when somebody looks at it, they go, oh, you're a woman-owned small business. Cool. We might consider set-asides or something. You don't want to suggest it, but it's okay for them to do it. That's what I consider basic information. It's just enough information to tell them who you are, that you're registered in SAM, and that you got some tags. You might even throw a GSA schedule logo up there if you have that. The second group of information is your core competencies. What do you sell? The third thing, your past performance. Who's paid you, right? And there's various levels of this. You could sit there and be somebody who has federal experience, and you can put that in. You're comfortable doing that. Or you can be brand new and you don't have stuff. Well, in this case, put down who's paid you as a W-2. That's okay. As long as you're not sitting there saying it's a federal contract, you can say sample projects. And so you would leave out the section that and I'll show you in a minute, the section where I say, here's who paid us. And instead you say, this is what I've been paid to do. And so you could do some sample products or projects, right? You have to do something to get people to see that you have experience doing this. The third section in the main body is called differentiators. I don't want you to overthink differentiators, and I'll show you in a minute, but differentiators are not unique things. This is something that is kind of always bugged me. I mean, for years and years, when I had my own company, you're told about differentiators, but those differentiators, people make it sound as if you have to be, what's different about you than your competitors? It's like, well, if you're in IT or if you paint walls or something, there's nothing overly unique. There is a little bit, and I'll talk about that in a second. But for the most part, if I did Microsoft SharePoint and 50 other companies did SharePoint, well, we're all doing SharePoint. And so I don't want uniqueness. What I'm looking for is, well, what makes me different as a SharePoint company, right? And that might be my past performances. That might be the number of people who are certified, right? We all have certified people, but I've got 5 certified, or 90% of our people are certified. Ironically, 90% of our people being veterans, that's not really a differentiator at all. That's like saying I won something's fastest growing company. That really doesn't tell someone anything that would make them say yes or no. And that's the key about data that you have on your capability statement. Everything should somehow make them say yes or no. If you don't have a cage code or UEI, they're going to go, nah, you're not registered to SAM. Why should I meet with you, right? There's things in there that are like that. And so differentiators, it's not enough that you hire veterans as an example. What is a differentiator, or could be a differentiator, is we have a 97% retention, meaning that only 3% of our people are turning over every year. That's a really good differentiator, because that tells the teaming partner or the agency buyer that you're less of a risk. If we bring you in, I don't have to worry about you treating your people so bad that they leave, right? So that kind of thing. But when you think about differentiators, don't try to make it unique. Just try to look at yourself and go, what are we most proud of? And can that kind of line up like a differentiator? And the last thing is advanced company information. This one here is information, and I like to put it at the bottom. This is information that they don't need unless they like you, right? The first 4 things are designed to get them to really say yes. If they say yes, what do? So NAICS codes, I put at the bottom. Points of contact, I put at the bottom. Extra contract vehicle type stuff, I might put at the bottom. Partnerships and things like that. But things at the bottom, when I say advanced, I don't mean it's special. I just mean it's, and I should have put like extra company information, right? You got your core information, and then you got your extra information. So these are the elements that are on a capability statement. The framework I want you to think about, I'm going to show you again. I'll show you in a second. By the way, really quickly, just as a reminder, if you want me to showcase your capability statement and you follow the format I say, right? Don't tag me if you're not going to follow my format, because I won't engage you. Because it's the opposite of what I teach. But if you follow my format, even if you do it in your own style, but you basically are following my format and what I'm showing here with the framework here, and you take your capability statement, refresh it for 2025, and you share it as a post out on LinkedIn, tag me, and you can see in my LinkedIn newsletter an article where I explain how to tag me. But basically, hey, follow Neil McDonald's guidance or something, and tag me when you say my name. I will come and engage. I have 34,000 followers. Sometimes I can engage and it'll bump up your capability statement to a lot of other people. I would love to do that. It takes me 2 seconds to do something kind. So just let me know when you're ready to share it out to the world. Okay, so the couple of things I want you to pay attention to when you think about a capabilities statement template. First off, this is all me, right? This is me and my experience saying this is my recommendation. I'm not here to debate anybody. But the first thing is a capability statement needs to be done in Microsoft Word. That is the most common format that anybody can go into and edit. I put here, don't do it in Canva. That's just because I couldn't think of the other proprietary tools that are out there, like publishing tools, etc. The reason I want it in Word is because any single person can do it. If you go get somebody on Fiverr to build it for you, demand that they give it to you in Word. That way you can edit it later. We're not trying to win awards. So Canva is cool if you're the person building it and you want to churn out a lot of common stuff. But it is not good for a small business who wants to rapidly make a change. You have to learn different tools, or you have to find somebody who can make the change. If it's in Word, you can make these changes yourself. You can save it as a new version. You can edit it really quick. No proprietary tools needed. Okay, so the next thing is when you think about a capability statement, the template framework for you, it needs to be in a Z format. And I'll show you this in 1 second. But the reason I say a Z format is because we read left to right in a Z format. The way you are reading these bullets on my screen, you're reading Word document for editing, not Canva. Z format of key sections, right? We read in a Z format. So now take that Z and make it bigger. And when you make your capability statement like that, you're making it easy for people to read very fast. We're able to scan it and understand what you're trying to tell us. And so a Z format, I'll show you again in a second what that looks like. But it's those 5 sections laid out in a way that people can read. Another key thing to remember about your template is make sure it's 14-point font minimum, right? The one exception is the NAICS codes at the bottom, the footer. I'm okay with that being a little less because I don't care if people see it. What I care about, though, is everything above the footer. So the differentiators, the past performance, the core competency, the header content, all of that needs to be at least 14-point font for 2 main reasons. One is it helps old guys like me read faster, read easier, right? People with eyes, and we're looking at stuff, it makes it so much easier for us to scan. And anything you can do to make it easier for us makes us like it for some reason. We don't know why we like it. I like this one better than this one. The only difference is this is 14, this is 12. So I'm subliminally liking it based on that font size. And the other reason is because when you do 14-point font, it forces you to be clear and concise in what you're putting on there. You can only put so many words now. Now you have to get really good and go, what are our core competencies in 3 or 4 keywords, these main words, and a few bullets? What are our past performances? Not in a paragraph, but in a few bullets that say, oh, I know what that past performance is. I know what it is. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. The thing a lot of people don't realize is if I do it in 14-point font and I can't get you to say yes or no with 14-point font, I'm not going to shrink it to 12, put more content on there, and then finally get you to say yes, right? I'll put enough on there that you will say yes pretty fast. 4th bullet, make sure that you only share as a PDF when you're putting it out on your website, on LinkedIn, when you're sending it to a federal buyer or a teaming partner, make sure it's in PDF. This is really important. And it's important to remember that you're doing it from a Word document to PDF. Sometimes people do an image and then make it a PDF. The problem with this is that the way the technology works, if somebody's doing a keyword search on their hard drive, if your content is in an image, they can't, it's not indexed. I can't find it. But when you do it in a Word document and then go to PDF, these are the most common tools used within the federal government, right? Word and PDF, or Adobe Acrobat, right? Those are the two of the most common used tools. And so when you use the same tools as the government, you're making it really easy for you to do your job and then for them to be able to find you on the resulting PDF file. All right, last tip on here is that make sure you're using metadata. Metadata is another name for the file properties. And so first piece of metadata you can think about, and I got an example here, the very first piece of metadata is the file name, right? And there's certain advice that people give on the way to have file name done. But at the very least, make it clear, right? Here it says, and I thank Graham, who was our #1 company in the 100 Club. So I use them as an example, but they're awesome as well. But Graham has a capability statement, right? And so there's the file name. And then if you go to Word and or Acrobat, but if you do this in Word, it just comes forward to the PDF. Go to Word, go to the File menu. In the File menu, you will see either the word Properties or you will see the word Info. When you click on them, it will show you something like this. It will show you file properties or document properties. It'll make sense the minute you see it, but make sure you're populating it, right? Give it a title. The idea of a file name, if you go into a network or enterprise tool like SharePoint and Red Solutions on, they can talk about SharePoint a lot because the government uses it. If you go into SharePoint and you only have a file name, well, often the way that SharePoint is set up, it has a title and that's what it shows. Well, if your title's blank, then it's blank to the people looking at it. But also when they're doing searches, and this is the most important thing, if you have your metadata populated, all these keywords, you will show up at the top of the results ahead of anybody who does not use metadata. This is a competitive advantage. Sometimes I see people, really thinking of sophisticated competitive advantage plays they can do, when all they have to do is something as simple as metadata, and they will come to the first page of results. They will come up as the first result, right? And so make sure your capability statement template has that metadata in there. I have a handout available. You can put a capability statement handout into the chat, and I will send you a link to where it is on our newsletter. I'll just speed that up for you. But put capability statement handout, or excuse me, just handout, please. If you just put handout, please, that's enough. Put that please in there, please. All right, so here's the last thing I want to show you is the capability statement example. So I'm laying out the framework and everything for you, but here you can see basic company information for Graham is across the top. I instantly, in far less than a second, understand that they're registered and they're a little bit farther along. And then I can see their core competencies. Okay, you do professional support services and deaf communication access, right? Those two alone, if I do construction, I can say no. But if those look good, I'm like, well, I'll keep looking, right? And so in 1 second, I see what they sell. And I come over here to past performance. And these guys happen to have a lot of past performance in the federal market, in administrative services, support services, legal, financial, et cetera. So what we do is we break up the way past performance is. This is a recommendation I made a long time ago, is separate out the customers from the work. That way, when people come over, they're reading in a Z format, they see past performance and they see all these names. They're like, wow, credibility, credibility, credibility. If these people trusted you, then I could trust you at least for a meeting. And then I come down, I see a sample list of contracts. I'm like, okay, sounds good. And then you remember the last thing is differentiators. So there's that Z format, right? It's kind of a little squiggly Z, but it's a Z format. And differentiators, like for these guys, differentiators were the certifications they have. How long they've been kind of in. And then at the bottom is that advanced information. So contact Nina. By the way, say Nina rocks if you appreciate me sharing her capability statement. Nina rocks in the chat. But here's the capability. NAICS codes. Those are unimportant. Push them down to the bottom. No matter what one person says, I've been talking to hundreds and hundreds, and 80-90% of them are like, I don't care about the NAICS code. It's too generic. I need to know, what do you actually do? Right? And so a NAICS code will say we do translation. Keywords will say we do sign language, deaf communication access. Okay, so here's what I want you to remember from today's training. First off, refresh your capability statement for 2025. Brand new year. It's a brand new chance to get out there and engage with people by saying, hey, here's my updated capability statement. Love to see yours, or love to talk to you about it for a few minutes. Second thing is make sure you go to connect.sba.gov and update your DSBS profile with your 2025 capability statement. You might even make sure you put 2025 into the file name so that people know it's the new one. Last one is, remember, if you want me to share this with my 34,000 connections, right, or whichever ones see it, post on LinkedIn. Once you follow my guidance, post it on LinkedIn as a PDF and tag me, and I will come in and look at it, and I will comment. When I comment, it gets pushed to my network saying, hey, Neil commented on this. You should check it out. Last thing over here, don't forget to register for tomorrow's training, easiest government contracts to win. Go to GovCon in a Box and check your score. Check your visibility score, www.govcon in a box. If you're advanced, you've watched 7 of my videos or more, you're doing over $1 million or $2 million, and you're interested in our help, you can put workshop in the chat and I will follow up. I like ending on time. I appreciate you being here today. I hope I see you tomorrow. Remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you next time.